You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Country called the USA, and we fly our flag cause we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. We never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can, we're Americans.
This is Rio of Madison Rising, and you're listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday night on KLRN Radio. It is great to be back with you again this week, and I hope you're feeling the same way. We've got a full night planned for you. Right after me is Jesse's POV, then Constitution and Culture, and then America Off the Rails. I'm assuming Rick is feeling well enough to go live tonight, right, Rick?
Si, senor. Si, senor.
Si, senor. Love to hear it. And, you know, we got a lot of things to talk about tonight. It's been a busy, busy week. What's happened since last Wednesday? Well, what's happened? Well, Trump's been inaugurated, so there's been protest marches. There's been the inauguration celebration. There's been an executive order festival going on. And there have been the heads of liberals exploding everywhere. But before we get cranked up good, what else is going on around the world? Well, the world said goodbye to TV icon Mary Tyler Moore. She passed away today at the age of 80. Brent Musburger announced his retirement from CBS Sports. Let's see, what else do we have here? Here's something interesting. Democrats are going to pitch a $1 trillion infrastructure plan. Somehow I'm betting that it doesn't really jive up a whole lot with Trump's $1 trillion infrastructure plan, but I guess we'll have to just wait and see the details on that. A Nebraska state senator resigned after tweeting that women's marchers were too ugly to be groped in D.C. Not that he was wrong, but, you know, he just showing a little decorum, I guess, after stepping out of line. I don't know, you know, whatever. Is it really that big of a deal to state the truth? Apparently it is in some places. Republicans have taken aim at Michelle Obama's school lunch plan. They're looking to scrap that. Let's see. Just do a search out there. This is great. There was a great rescue caught on camera. A train smashes through a FedEx truck, and apparently there was a great rescue done right before the explosion. That was all caught on film. Very good, very good. Also, just a little teaser for you. Elon Musk wants to tunnel under Los Angeles traffic with his quote-unquote boring company. Yeah, go figure, pun intended in the headline there. NORAD is upset after Russian bombers were zooming around Japan. And a quote-unquote high-level North Korean defector says that Kim Jong-un's days in power are numbered. That's what's going on in the world today. I hope it's been a good day for you. It's been a decent day for me. And let's get rolling here. I guess since it's the big story, we'll start with Trump, right? So in one of his first acts as our new president of the United States, Donald Trump has reinstated a federal ban on U.S. funding for international health organizations that counsel women on family planning options that include abortion. That's right. This is called the Mexico City policy, also known as the global gag rule. Was first put in place by President Reagan back in 1984, and it prohibits giving U.S. funding to non-governmental organizations that offer or advise on a wide range of family planning and reproductive health options if they include abortion. And that's even if the U.S. dollars are not specifically used for abortion-related services. Since then, the gag rule has been something of a political football, rescinded and reinstated as soon as presidents take office. President Bill Clinton did away with the rule. President George W. Bush reinstated it. Barack Obama again revoked it. Now Trump has reinstated it. So you see how this goes. Trump's executive order on Monday came one day after the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, the landmark 1973 Supreme Court case that guaranteed a woman's right to have an abortion. And in the week of the annual March for Life in Washington, D.C., it's also 2 days after millions of people turned out to protest Trump and many of his policies in quote-unquote women's marches. You know, they called them women's marches, but yet they wouldn't let pro-life women in the march. So shouldn't they have narrowed the scope down just a little bit? You remember what I'm talking about. We talked about this last week, too, about how they couldn't even make up their own minds over what they were marching about. So the U.S. spends about $600 million a year on international assistance for family planning and reproductive health programs. Are you kidding me? $600 million a year. What the flippin' hell? 600, that's $2.4 billion every 4 years. So that's 4.8. That's half the cost of the wall right there. That's half the cost of the wall just in Trump's first. Yeah, if he's in for 8 years, he's covered half the wall just saving that money. Oh, speaking of the wall, we'll get to that a little later. But yeah, you know, that got pushed through too. So anyway, $600 million a year on international assistance for family planning and reproductive health programs, making it possible for 27 million women and couples to access contraceptive services and supplies. Now take note, none of that money is spent on performing abortions according to this rule. Nod, nod, wink, wink. The Helms Amendment has prevented U.S. tax dollars from funding overseas abortions since 1973. Nod, nod, wink, wink. Proponents of the global gag rule believe the policy is nevertheless still necessary, arguing that Helms isn't strong enough by itself. Itself, excuse me. But the Guttmacher Institute and other opponents of the gag rule say that such restrictions have devastating effects on international organizations and often forcing them to close their clinics or reduce their services, denying women access to help from safe providers, and even hampering HIV prevention efforts. Okay, now they're stretching the truth here to try to get a reaction. But let's talk about this for a minute. When did it become the responsibility of the United States to pay for these services for other countries? Really? Folks, we have enough problems here at home that need fixing. But we're going to spend $600 million a year on this overseas. Every year, $600 million. Over 4 years, that's $2.4 billion. Trump's first term, just saving the $2.4 billion is 1/4 of the cost of the wall. It's a no-brainer. There are places we can cut funding to put money back in home. And that's what he's doing right now. Is he going to do some things wrong along the way? I haven't met a president yet that hasn't. And when they do, I call them out. I don't care what party. I will recognize the good. I will scold the bad. I don't care what letter comes after their name. So, in reality, attempts to stop abortion through restrictive laws or by withholding family planning aid can never eliminate abortion, they say, because those methods do not eliminate women's need for abortion. Where abortion is permitted on broad legal grounds, it is generally much safer than where it is highly restricted, Guttmacher wrote in a 2015 report. But again, it should be restricted. There should be serious restrictions on who and where and why someone can murder a baby. And I know there are leftists out there. It's not a baby, it's a clump of cells. If it's a clump of cells, then why, after the abortion, is it sold by Planned Parenthood as quote unquote human tissue? Tissue is more than a clump of cells. I don't care how you slice it. No pun intended. Guttmacher went on to say this policy has severe implications and could be deadly for women and girls in developing countries and conflict zones who often resort to dangerous methods of ending their pregnancies when they lack access to safe abortion. Again, when did this become the responsibility of the United States? We can offer a lot of guidance without $600 million a year and how to treat women healthily, how to help them. The World Health Organization, you know, that globalist outfit, estimates that more than 21 million women a year have unsafe abortions in developing countries, accounting for about 13% of all maternal deaths. Now, you got these, oh God, it's going to hurt my head even doing this, but Senator Jeanne Shaheen, Democrat from New Hampshire, the only woman on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, told Foreign Policy that she is planning a legislative response to the reinstatement of the global gag rule. She said, "I will continue to stand up to President Trump and Republican leadership in Congress who are intent on rolling back women's access to reproductive health care and will soon be introducing bipartisan legislation aimed to repeal the global gag rule for good," the senator said. "Women around the world deserve to make important personal health care decisions without politicians in Washington interfering." That's excellent. Let's not interfere. Let's retract the $600 million a year and let them make their decisions. That's not interfering, Senator Shaheen. It's unbelievable. These morons just will not give up. Now, let's talk about something else that President Trump did. President Trump put a freeze on government hiring Monday. He absolutely did. Federal labor leaders were ready when President Trump froze government hiring on Monday. It was a campaign promise they criticized before the election and did so shortly again after he made good on the pledge. President Trump's action will disrupt government programs and services that benefit everyone and actually increase taxpayer costs by forcing agencies to hire more expensive contractors to do work that civilian government employees are already doing for far less money, said American Federation of Government Employees President J. David Cox Sr. Okay, so this is their pitch. Don't stop us from hiring cheap American labor, otherwise we'll have to contract it out to expensive American labor. This hiring freeze will mean longer lines at Social Security offices, fewer workplace safety inspections, less oversight of environmental polluters, and greater risk to our nation's food supply and clean water systems, they said. Well, I got news for them, because not only is President Trump looking to go into a freeze, which he did through executive order, he's also saying that he wants a 20% reduction in federal workers. 20%. We touched on this last week. Again, the details aren't fully available yet, but that is the number that they are standing by in the White House still. So a hiring freeze was included in the Trump presidential campaign's contract with the American voter. It was the second of 6 measures to clean up the corruption and special interest collusion in D.C. and part of his 100-day action plan to make America great again. And trust me, I'm sick of hearing that phrase. I mean, look, America is great. It really is. We can make America better. We don't need to make America great again. The contract excluded the military, public safety, and public health. But during a signing in the Oval Office, Trump only mentioned the military. So, again, Tony Reardon, the president of the National Treasury Employees Union, said a hiring freeze will be harmful and counterproductive, increasing backlogs, decreasing service quality, and causing more frustration for Americans seeking help from their government. Maybe there should be less Americans seeking help from their government and more Americans grabbing their bootstraps and pulling themselves up, taking a little bit of personal responsibility, executing some personal initiative, and kicking some red, white, and blue ass to make themselves great again. Reardon went on to say, our government depends on highly trained and experienced federal workers, and these are the same ones that they say they hire for a whole lot less money, being able to carry on with their important work. This puts a substantial roadblock up for agencies. Now, earlier this month, the Washington Post reported that Obama's administration was accelerating hiring to get employees in place before Trump took over. But individuals hired who have not yet started working still could be affected by the freeze. And of course, anybody that's worked in any kind of governmental job understands how layoffs work too. It's all done by seniority, so all you newbies are going to be out the door when he starts cutting. In an August 1981 decision by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit in National Treasury Employees Union versus Ronald Reagan, the court ruled that anyone who had been appointed after Election Day but had not yet started work were affected by the retroactive freeze because they had not actually become federal employees. It found that a small number of workers among the plaintiff group, however, had begun to perform official work functions and therefore could make a claim based on the standard civil service protections that federal employees hold. In 1982, the Government Accountability Office examined hiring freezes imposed by former presidents Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan and determined that was not an effective strategy. Hiring freezes have little effect on federal employment levels, the GAO said. The report said that the freezes disrupted agency operations and, in some cases, increased costs to the government. So I got to back up for a second here because this is a little bit confusing to me. How is it that the Government Accountability Office, these are the people that are supposed to be nonpartisan and watch out for how government spends your money and my money. And they say that employment or hiring freezes have little effect on employment levels. I have to disagree because you can't start reducing until you freeze them. So maybe per se the freeze itself doesn't have a big effect on the employment level, but the impending reduction in force will. And we all know you can't just slam the car into reverse when you're doing 60 miles an hour down the road. Of course not. You got to freeze it. You got to slow down. You got to apply the brakes. And then you got to shift. I don't know. Like I said, I don't agree with everything the man's doing, but so far, I'm okay. Maybe one thing. Here we go. I'll go ahead off course here for a second. I'll tell you one thing I don't agree with the man doing. I don't agree with the ambiguous comments about sending the feds into Chicago. Federalism is not the answer. Okay? And I know Obama sent feds in all over the place, but what are we talking about here? All right, he needs to elaborate. Is he going to send DOJ in to investigate what's going on? That's one thing. Is he going to put the National Guard on alert and put them into action in Illinois and the south side of Chicago? I don't think so. So instead of making these ambiguous, open-ended, asinine comments, let's stick to real issues here. Look, I know there are good people that live on the south side of Chicago that absolutely hate the violence that goes on in their part of the city. But guess what? You're not doing anything about it. Get off your ass and act. That's how you get help. You don't get help by staying shut in and closing your eyes to the crime that's going on around you in your own neighborhood, that's causing your property values to sink, that's causing more crime to come in because they know they can get away with it, because there are areas in the south of Chicago that cops won't even go into unless there are 8 or 10 of them at a time. The good, the bad, the ugly, it all starts at home, folks. Take care of your home. Then help your neighbor if they need it. Help your neighbor take care of their home. Because in turn, you're taking care of what's next to your home, which is a good thing. And pass it on. Pay it forward. That's the kind of greatness that America needs to see again. Where we take care of each other instead of the government telling us how to take care of things. And while we're at it, let's talk about something else I disagree with here, completely off course. Might as well keep veering the car towards the cliff, right? The attacks on politicians' children. I don't care what party the politician belongs to. Children are off limits. Don't be crass. Don't be rude. Don't be stupid. And it's not even ignorance, because that would insinuate that you don't know that it's inappropriate to attack a child. I chastise people who attack the Obama girls. Okay? And I will chastise people that attack Barron Trump. It's just unacceptable. It's bullying. It's abuse. That's a defenseless kid who didn't ask for any of this. He's got to adjust. He has to make do with what his parents have decided they were going to do. The presidency is not an easy job. Being the kid of a president is also not easy, and it's not a job. He's not going to be compensated for it. Now, where I do not have a problem going after somebody is when somebody like Michelle Obama makes comments about how she was mortified to her core at the comments Trump was revealed to have made back during the campaign, while she takes her daughters to a Jay-Z concert and Beyonce concert where I know the lyrics of the songs, and they are much, much worse than anything Trump said. That doesn't excuse what Trump said or what Trump may or may not have done. But it does show her hypocrisy and her willingness to make a hypocrite of herself openly in a campaign just for political gain. Skewer her on it. I have no problem with that. Leave the kids alone. I don't care who you are. I don't care what party you support. I will come at you if you go at the kids. Okay, enough of the veering. The car's at the cliff's edge. We're going to back it up over the commercial break here. We're at the bottom of the hour. Want you to stay tuned. We're going to be back in about 3.5 minutes, give or take a few seconds. Sit tight. We got more to discuss. Be right back with you.
Oh, but ain't that America? For you and me, ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Before we get the second half of the show rolling, I was just checking my email to see if I had gotten a response back from Tim Marchman. Some of you may know who that is, but most of you don't, and rightly so, because he's a hack who actually was running his mouth about challenging people to a UFC octagon fight this morning on Twitter. I have accepted his challenge, but I'm waiting on my reply, and I'm a little concerned because I've sent him 4 messages today, and he hasn't replied to any of them. Tim, I know you're not listening, but maybe somebody will get word to you, just so you can get a feel for what it would be like. Tim, I go 6'3", 220 these days. I don't know. We can do it at a catch weight if you want. If you just want to be in different classes, that's all fine too. I don't really care. Let's just go. I'm ready. I don't really care. You want me to drop a few? I can drop a few. Not a whole lot, but I can drop a few because I don't have many to give. But anyway, checking on that. As we get rolling here, continuing on with President Trump and his new policies, he pulled the switch on the Trans-Pacific Partnership on Monday, and in one of his first actions in office, he rejected a centerpiece of Barack Obama's attempts to counter China and deepen U.S. ties in Asia, if you want to believe that that's what the TPP was all about. For Trump, the move was a fulfillment of a central campaign promise. He has repeatedly cast the 12-Nation Trade Pact, which was eagerly sought by U.S. allies in Asia, as detrimental to American businesses. Great thing for the American worker that we just did, Trump said in brief remarks as he signed a notice in the Oval Office. The Obama administration spent years negotiating this Pacific Rim Pact. Though the mood in Washington on trade soured over time, Obama never sent the accord to Congress for ratification, making Trump's actions largely symbolic. For Trump, the start of his first full week in office amounted to a reset after a tumultuous weekend dominated by his and his spokesman's statements about inauguration crowd sizes and their vigorous complaints about media coverage of the celebrations. This, folks, if you've listened for any amount of time through the campaign, you've heard me say over and over again that this guy just needs to focus on issues. When he lets himself get sidetracked into the nonsense over how many people were at his inauguration, this is when he's at his worst. When he sits down and he concentrates on policy, it may not be great, but he's sure a heck of a lot better at that than he is about just whining and complaining. Does the crowd size have any effect on how Trump will govern? No, it does not. Just the same way that his rally sizes when he was campaigning had no effect on how he will govern. It doesn't matter. Let's focus on the important stuff. So while Trump's advisors have long accepted his tendency to become fixated on, seemingly insignificant issues, because they seem that way because they are insignificant issues. Some privately conceded that his focus on inauguration crowds was unhelpful on the opening weekend of his presidency, and they are right in saying so. On Monday, our new president tried to regroup. He spent the day bounding from one ornate room of the White House to another for meetings, often ordering aides to summon journalists from their West Wing workspace at a moment's notice for unscheduled statements and photo ops. In addition to his executive action on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, Trump signed memorandums freezing government hiring. We touched on that already. He noted the exception for the military, and, of course, reinstating the Mexico City policy. The actions were among the long list of steps candidate Trump pledged to take on his opening day as president. But other day one promises were going unfulfilled Monday, including plans to propose a constitutional amendment imposing term limits on members of Congress and terminating Obama's executive actions deferring deportations for some people living in the U.S. illegally. Folks, I have a sneaking suspicion that he's going to let the term limit thing go because Cruz is proposing that legislation in the Senate right now. As for the deferral of deportations, I think you're going to see it come through. It just won't be a day one issue. Some of the other things that I've heard have not been to the White House website yet to check on, but I was told that all of the non-English language pages on whitehouse.gov have been taken down. This, there's something that was not said during Trump's campaign, at least not that I heard. Somebody else might have heard this, and you can correct me. But I don't ever recall Trump talking about making English our national language officially. Folks, I think it's coming, though. I really do. I think he's going to declare it. And I think that if people want to know what's going on in America, that you should learn to speak English. It's not America's job to conform to you. This goes back to how it was when my grandparents immigrated here. Okay? At Ellis Island, my grandmother looked up at her mother, my great-grandmother, who I got, God love her, the chance to know and embrace over several years before she passed. She looked up at my Nana, and my Nana said, "No more Spanish. We are in America now. We speak English." Boom. End of story. That's how it was. Immigrants were excited to come to America, not for the freebies, for the opportunity to bust their hump and make it, to get the same chance that everybody else gets. That's what they were excited for. Not for a welfare check and free lunches for your kids at school. So anyway, continuing on, spokesman Sean Spicer said Monday that Trump intended to follow through on his proposals, though on a more extended time frame to ensure maximum attention for each move. Yet he appeared to suggest that Trump would not move quickly or perhaps at all to reinstate deportations for young immigrants protected from deportation under the Obama administration. Mr. Trump will anger a large portion of his base if he holds true to this. Spicer said Trump's focus would be on people in the U.S. illegally who have criminal records or who pose a threat. That's where the priority is going to be. And then we're going to continue to work through the entire number of folks that are here illegally, Spicer said. And Spicer, making his first appearance at the briefing room podium since his angry tirade against the press on Saturday, also appeared to back away from Trump's assertion that he would move the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. While presidential candidates have long made similar pledges, all have abandoned the idea over concerns that following through would further inflame tensions in the volatile region. We are at the early stages in this decision-making process, Spicer said, of the possibility of embassy relocation. If it was already a decision, then we wouldn't be going through a process. You don't say. Captain Obvious there. Spicer struck a far more conciliatory tone with reporters in Monday's briefing and attempted to make light of his weekend appearance, which included multiple inaccurate statements regarding the inauguration. He conceded that he was relying on incomplete information when he used public transit figures to boast about the crowd size, but stood by his unverifiable claim that Trump's swearing in was the most watched in history, including internet views as well as TV. Blah, 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 blah. Again, who cares about the size of the damn crowd? Monday was a mostly business day for Trump, the new president who prefers to solicit opinions from numerous people before making decisions, huddled with corporate leaders, including Tesla's Elon Musk and Marilyn Houston and union heads. Eager to show off his new digs, Trump ended the meeting by bringing his guest in to see the Oval Office. In his discussions with executives, Trump warned that he would impose a substantial border tax on companies that move their manufacturing out of the United States. He reiterated his campaign pledge to lower taxes for companies that stay in the U.S., as well as for the middle class, anywhere from 15 to 25%. Although he has not been clear on how he intends to make up for the lost tax revenue, he said of his incentives for business, all you have to do is stay. In the evening, Trump was hosting a White House reception for lawmakers from both parties and a separate private meeting with House Speaker Paul Ryan to discuss Republicans' legislative priorities. As Trump pressed forward with executive actions, a legal watchdog group filed a lawsuit alleging he is violating the so-called emoluments clause in the Constitution by allowing his business to accept payment from foreign governments. The liberal-funded watchdog group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics, where were they the last 8 years, says the clause prohibits Trump from receiving money from diplomats for stays at his hotels or from foreign governments for leases of office space in his buildings. Asked about the suit, of course, Trump said it was totally without merit. And Spicer later said that Trump has left his businesses as promised, handing over control to his 2 adult sons. So blah, 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 as usual. Okay, so moving on, we got more things to talk about. This just out. According to the Office of Management and Budget, Barack Obama was not only the first, quote-unquote, black president. I even hate saying that term because he's as black as, he's got as much black in him as I have white in me. End of story. That's it. Okay? He's multiracial. I'm multiracial. Yeah, that's how it is. But anyway, Barack Obama was the first president of the United States to spend more on means-tested entitlements, welfare, than on national defense. Historical tables that the OMB posted on the Obama White House website included annual totals for both national defense spending and means-tested entitlement spending, going back to fiscal year 1962, which is 3 years before President Lyndon Johnson signed legislation creating the Medicaid program, a means-tested entitlement that together with the Children's Health Insurance Program enrolled 74.4 million beneficiaries as of November 2016. In every year from fiscal 1962 through fiscal year 2014, total national defense spending exceeded means-tested entitlement spending. In fiscal year 1962, for example, the federal government spent 12 times as much money on national defense as it did on welfare. Those numbers, defense spending in 1962 was $52,345,000,000 compared to welfare spending of $4,300,000,000. However, national defense spending peaked in 2011 when it hit $705.554 billion. By contrast, welfare entitlement spending has increased each year since 2012. Finally, in fiscal year 2015, it exceeded national defense for the first time ever. Folks, that's disgusting to think about. In fiscal year 2014, total national defense spending was $603,457,000,000. This is 2014. That same year, welfare spending was $601,700,000,000. But in fiscal year 2015, national defense spending declined to $589,965,000,000, while welfare spending increased to $666,900,000,000. That is $65.2 billion more in 1 year on welfare spending, while cutting, what's that, 11, 12, 13, 14, $14.1 billion from defense spending in the same year. Folks, that's let's see, that's 14, and that is 65. That's a $79 billion swing in 1 year. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. We do not have that many people in this country that are incapable of working. We do not. End of story. Close the book. I don't care whether you like it or not. That is disgusting. The fiscal 2016 numbers published on the OMB's historical tables are estimates, but they do show that that the welfare spending in 2016 will have increased again from $666.9 billion to $709.6 billion. Unbelievable. The federal government accounts for national defense spending as budget function category 050. You can pull up the Office of Budget Management and look this up yourself. They post it. OMB Public, get to it, do a little research. It'll do you a world of good. This just absolutely kills me. And then in the waning hours of his administration, Obama releases $221 million to the Palestinian Authority as a smack against Israel, who he claims to support so greatly. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. One of the other things we got to talk about tonight, this is the comic relief part of the program. The Democratic National Committee is accepting applications for chairperson. And apparently they had some auditions. And we're gonna play a little audio clip here of one of their auditions. And just bear with me here. It lasts just a couple of minutes. I promise it's not too long. But Mr. Producer is going to cue it up here and hit the button. And let's listen to this candidate.
Black Lives Matter, and it makes me sad that we're even having that discussion. And that tells me that white leaders in our party have failed. We have to accept that there is prejudice that exists within our own party, and we have to be able to have that conversation. We cannot sweep that under the rug. We cannot continue to hide it. We cannot smash voices down when they are trying to scream, listen to me, you don't get it. I'm a white woman. I don't get it. I am pleased and honored to be here today to have the conversation. I am so excited that we're here. And I am listening because that's my job is to listen to the issues. My job is to listen and be a voice. And my job is to shut other white people down when they want to interrupt. My job is to shut other white people down when they want to say, oh no, I'm not prejudiced. I'm a Democrat. I'm accepting. My job is to make sure that they get that they have privilege. And until we shut our mouths and we listen to those people who don't, and we lift our people up so that we all have equity in this country, so that we are all fighting alongside each other, so that we are all on the same page, and we clearly get where we're going, we're not going to break through this. This is not just rhetoric. This is life or death. This moment in our country, the Democratic Party has the opportunity to do something different. We have the opportunity to really confront the fact that we have not been in alignment with our values. We've been talking a lot of smack. We need to make sure that our actions and our words and our values all match. And around the issue of race, we are so far out of alignment, I don't even know the way back. But I am listening and I am asking and I am talking to people. I am talking to people of color because you have the answers. You can tell me as a leader what I need to do. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, is continue to have those conversations and continue to talk to people and make sure that every single system in our party is designed to give power back to the people, all people, but especially those people who have been disenfranchised in our country since our country started. So, please, 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 this is a conversation I want to have, and I am from Idaho. We are so white. So white, right? I have been reaching out and trying to connect to anybody of color that I can find to be honest with me. I am not a politician. I am a human being trying to do good work, and I can't do it without y'all. So please, please, please get a hold of me, Sally@wethednc.org. I need schooling, and I depend on you and the people around our community to do that so that I can go school the other white people. We need it.
Yeah, she's a nutcase. Okay, so here's this woman. Here's this white woman who is basically assailing white privilege in America while standing on stage asking for the privilege of leading a political party that she thinks white people have ruined. Folks, I got nothing to add to that. That's its own joke in itself. And that is tonight's program. We're at the top of the hour. Again, reminding you to stay tuned for Jesse's POV, followed by Constitution and Culture, which is followed by America Off the Rails, your Wednesday night grand slam of conservative talk radio on KLRN Radio, Oklahoma City's blowtorch of conservatism, folks. You here. I'm the Grouch. Thanks for being here. We'll catch you next week.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly